Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be a declutter video. I did go through and declutter my entire makeup collection a few months ago. If you're interested in seeing like a really detailed look at a certain category, like blushes or lipsticks or eyeshadow palettes, I'll link those videos in the description box below. I swatched pretty much everything. I shared comparisons and basically like mini reviews on all of the products in my collection. But after I do those videos, every few months, I like to go through, just kind of take a look at everything and do more of a mini declutter and take out products that I'm no longer reaching for, shades that haven't worked out for me, or if it's like the end of the season, like now that we're heading into fall and it's the end of summer, if I thought I would use these products during the summer and I didn't, it's time for them to go. My whole goal with decluttering is to pass products along to someone else who can enjoy them. So I try to catch products before they expire and while they're somewhat new. And if I'm not using them, it's time for them to go to someone else. There are products in here that are a little bit older that I missed in my original declutter, and then also some products I tried that I didn't like. So just kind of a bunch of things that I'm removing from my collection. Before I actually pass them along, I wanted to share like my final thoughts with you guys and let you know why I no longer enjoy them or why I won't be using them. So let's jump into it and we'll chat about these products. So now that it is almost the end of summer and we're heading into fall soon, I kind of wanted to remove products I thought I would use during the summer that I didn't reach for because these probably aren't things I'll be using a lot during the fall season. So the first one is this foundation from KVD Beauty. This is the Good Apple Full Coverage Serum Foundation. So I have the shade Light 024. First of all, the shade match is just very off. I did get this in the mail as PR, and I'm not sure which shade I would have gone with if I did purchase it myself. I feel like I probably would have gone with this one, but it's really, really yellow toned on my skin. And I do have a blue mix-in pigment that I'll use alongside of this to kind of neutralize it, which does help. But because this is such an intense full coverage foundation, if the shade match is even like slightly off, it just looks weird because it doesn't match my neck or my chest or my body. So I feel like it's hard to get this to look right on my skin. On top of that, the foundation formula just isn't something that I find myself loving these days. It's the type of formula I would have worn so much a few years ago. It's very full coverage. It's incredibly matte. It does look very smooth on the skin and it wears really well throughout the day. But I feel like these days I go for something just not quite as intense in all of those areas. So whenever I wear it, I feel like my skin looks good other than the shade match. Like it doesn't really look cakey on the skin. It's very lightweight. Like it's a good full coverage matte option. It's not where my foundation preferences lie these days. I usually go for something a little less intense, a little less matte. So I'm just going to pass this product along. I feel like it could be a good option if you want a full coverage matte long wearing foundation, but just keep in mind like it's to the extreme in all of those categories. I'm also decluttering this bronzer from Say. I used this a good amount during the summertime, but I never really fell in love with it in the way that I thought I would. It's a good bronzer. I initially reviewed this when I purchased it, and I feel like it works fine, but I have other bronzers I find myself reaching for all the time. And every time I wear this, I wished that I wore the Makeup by Mario one or the Makeup Revolution one. I thought during the summertime, the Makeup Revolution one would end up like sliding off my face because it is so creamy and so dewy, but I still reach for that one even on very hot summer days. And the Say one, it looks fine on the skin, but sometimes I feel like it almost looks a little bit patchy compared to Makeup Revolution or Makeup by Mario. I do think if you have oily skin, this could be a really ideal option for a cream bronzer because it's not overly creamy or overly dewy and it does stay in place well on the skin. But I just find that when I wear it, I want one of the other ones that I have in my collection. So I'm just not loving this one as much as I thought I would. It's a good formula, just not my absolute favorite. I purchased it earlier this year. So again, I just want to pass it along before it expires, especially because it is a cream, so it won't last forever. There are two eyeshadow palettes I decided to declutter. So I'm pretty sure in my declutter video, I said I was going to hang on to this one because I thought I would get a lot of use out of it during the summer. And again, I didn't reach for this once during the summertime. So instead of hanging on for it for like another full year, I'm just going to declutter it. It's the ColourPop in the Springs palette. It's a really beautiful palette. And if you love like really intense warm tones and orange shades and you like pops of blue, this could be a fun palette. I feel like it could have gone well with what I'm wearing today. But when I do want to wear blue, I'll usually reach for something different, and I'm just not feeling like these really intense orange shades these days. So I can't imagine I'll use this one very much over the next few months. I think this palette is pretty, but it's definitely not one of ColourPop's best palettes. It's called In a Daze, and it has a bunch of really beautiful purples. But every time I use this palette, I feel like it takes so much work to get the look that I want. And it just doesn't build as well as other ColourPop palettes. I do have a few other purple palettes that I really enjoy from ColourPop, and I feel like I'm always reaching into those after deciding to use this one to get the look that I want. If you do like more of a subtle look, maybe you would enjoy this, but it's definitely not one of their best. I think this was maybe, was it one of their Target exclusives? Or maybe it initially launched at Target and then they brought it over to their website. I don't know. I feel like their eyeshadow quality has been a little bit inconsistent. I haven't tried a ton of palettes from them lately, but every once in a while I'll try one and I'm just not as impressed as I used to be. So I hope that their quality isn't going downhill. Again, I haven't tried a ton, so it could just be this one in particular, but I really wasn't a fan of this formula. Speaking of eyeshadow, I do have a section in my makeup collection where I have liquid eyeshadows, eyeshadow crayons, single eyeshadows, and I didn't actually declutter that on camera. I didn't actually declutter it at all because I thought it might be a little bit boring. There are a lot of products in there. If you'd want to see that, I can definitely film it for you, but I have been reaching for single shadows a little bit more lately. So as I've been using single shadows, I've slowly been pulling products out that I don't need or products that are a little bit older. I think it is time to part with these. I've had these for a really long time. The Stila Glitter and Glow, oh no, these are two different things. Oh no, the Stila Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadows. I have Rose Gold Retro and then Smoldering Satin. I don't even know how long I've had these. I haven't reached for them in a few years, and Stila's liquid shadows are really, really gorgeous, but I'm sure these are expired. Like I probably should not put them on my eyes. Don't get me wrong, some makeup products do last a few years for sure, but because these are liquid eyeshadows and they go on your eyes, I just feel like I need to be a little bit more cautious and maybe go ahead and part with these. I have a ton of other liquid shadows that are great. Honestly, the e.l.f. liquid shadows are just as good in my opinion. And at one point, Stila was really the only brand doing like gorgeous glitter shadows like these, but now there are so many options. So I don't plan on repurchasing these, but I did enjoy them back in the day. They've just been in my collection a little bit too long. I bought this single eyeshadow from Ulta Beauty. It's their bouncy eyeshadow in the shade Sugar Cookie. I feel like a lot of people were saying this was a dupe for Urban Decay's Moon Dust. It's definitely not a dupe, in my opinion. The formulas are completely different, and this does not look as vibrant on the eyes as the Urban Decay one. If you want a more subtle version of the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadow, this could be a good alternative. But it's basically like a less intense version of the ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. Like it has that creamy, bouncy texture to it, but it's so subtle on the eyes. And weirdly enough, this ends up creasing on me throughout the day. That doesn't happen with a lot of eyeshadow. I feel like if I have a good eyeshadow primer, most of them stay in place. But sometimes when I wear this one, I notice that it does crease on me and it fades throughout the day. So I'm just not really a fan of this. I love like an intense metallic like I have on today. I have the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Koosh with a little bit of a Natasha Denona shadow on top. Like the more vibrant, the better for me. So this is just not my favorite, and that's totally personal preference. But I also didn't find the formula to be super high quality. I would just stick with ColourPop or splurge on the Moon Dust shadow from ColourPop or from Urban Decay. I don't know what's going on, but over the last few months, every single brand has launched some sort of eyeshadow stick. Rare Beauty, like a ton of drugstore brands, ColourPop, Hard Candy, Catrice, Milani. I've tried a lot of them, and I like a good eyeshadow stick, but it seems weird, right? Like it's not like when lip oils were super viral and everyone wanted lip oils, so a lot of brands launched those. Or everyone was looking for like liquid highlighters, liquid blushes, liquid contours, and everybody launched those. Were eyeshadow sticks like really high in demand and I just missed it? I don't know. I felt like there were already a ton of great options out there, but because so many brands have launched them, I feel like I've tried a lot of them. I've gotten some in the mail as PR, I've purchased some, and there are a ton of good drugstore options. It's a category where I feel like you really don't have to splurge on a high-end option. So I wanted to go through my collection and maybe declutter a few formulas I wasn't reaching for. It Cosmetics sent these to me a little while ago. These are their Superhero No Tug Shadow Sticks. Honestly, the formula is fine. I'm just kind of underwhelmed by it when there are better options at the drugstore. And I usually do reach for something a little bit more metallic when I want an eyeshadow stick because I go for it all over the lid rather than like a satin or a matte. So I thought I would pass these along to my mom. There's a matte one and then two that have more of like a pearly finish, but they're not overly metallic. So I feel like she might actually like these more than I do. I do have two from Urban Decay, and I've kept these in my collection because the colors are a little more unique. They're really, really pretty, but I don't know if I've ever actually worn them. And if I did, I can't remember the last time that was. So I think it's time to part with these as well. And then I have one from Ulta Beauty. This is their cream eyeshadow and liner. This formula is nice. It's very, very creamy. But again, there are just so many other options out there. And I've tried so many over the last few months that this is not something I've reached for. So I just want to pass those along to someone else to see if they enjoy them. I purchased this Essence Thick and Wow Fixing Brow Mascara because I thought it could be maybe a good alternative to the NYX Thick It Stick It, which they're both drugstore brands, but this Essence one is less expensive than NYX. The only issue for me, well, there's a couple of issues. First of all, the brush or the wand is bigger than NYX, and the NYX wand is already pretty big to me. So whenever I use this, I feel like my brows end up looking very, very messy. I over apply the product. That would be fine. Like I would still use it up completely, but I feel like the shade I got is a little bit too warm toned. And I don't know, my biggest pet peeve when it comes to brow products are incredibly warm browns. That might not be the case for you. Maybe you do like a warm brown in your brows, depending on your undertone, your brow color, your hair color, but I usually like something cooler tones. So I feel like the fact that it is such a messy product with such a big wand and the undertone is a little bit off and the formula isn't as good as NYX, like all of that combined is just reason enough for me to say like, I don't need it. I'm just going to pass this product along and stick with NYX. I am decluttering the hard candy lip oils. I really thought I could like power through because I love the formula. It's so light and glossy, so pretty on the lips, really comfortable and hydrating, but the taste is too much for me. I can get over the scent. Like the scent and the taste are kind of the same, like a fruity citrus plastic scent in taste. And again, like the scent, I can get over it, but the taste, every time I wear it, like it tastes so bad. So I thought I would just hang on to them and wear them and just kind of deal with it, but it's just not a pleasant experience. So unfortunately, I have to declutter these. Hard candy, like please relaunch these without that scent and taste because I feel like if that happened, people would love this product so much. I'm also decluttering the ColourPop Luxe Lip Oils. My lip collection, even though I decluttered it, is still a little bit too full. So I need to be a little bit choosy about which products can stay, which ones have to go. And I'm just kind of underwhelmed by these. I feel like if my lip gloss or lip oil collection only had a few products in it, I'd probably keep them. But again, I'll just pass them along to my mom or one of my sisters and see if they enjoy them or one of my cousins because they're barely used. Like I basically just tested them out and I just didn't love the formula compared to other lip glosses I owned. These, in my opinion, are just not really worth trying. I mean, someone might enjoy them, which is why I'm going to see if someone does like them, but they're $10. Makeup's expensive these days, like even drugstore makeup and affordable makeup. $10 for a lip product seems high when there are other options out there that are like under $5 and that are significantly better in my opinion. These are very, very sheer. Like if you do buy them, you really don't need a bunch of colors. These two shades end up looking almost identical on the lips. On top of that, they're not super glossy. They don't last really well. There's no like long lasting hydration. I'm just really underwhelmed by them and I feel like the price point is too high. Speaking of ColourPop, I'm also decluttering these cheek products. So I talked about these in a speed reviews video a little while ago and they're not the worst cheek products I've ever tried. But again, what's with ColourPop lately? I just feel like their quality is mediocre at best. I used to be such a big ColourPop fan and I still like products I own like that I've had for a long time, but I don't know that there are any products in 2023 that I've tried that I've just really fallen in love with that I just want to like sit here and say like I definitely recommend these. I don't think you'll regret it because I do feel like if you tried their lip oils or even their powdered cheek products, you might regret them. The blush and the bronzer are fine, but that's just it. They're just fine. There are too many good options out there these days that you don't have to wear makeup that's just okay, and you don't have to spend your money on makeup that's just okay because no matter what your budget is, you can find products that really are exceptional, that perform so, so well. And their powder cheek products just don't do that for me. I will say I don't recommend the powder highlighter. Like these are okay, and if you were really set on them, they're not the worst products out there, but the powder highlighter looks really dry. I tried this product multiple times, just like kind of hoping it would work out for me, and every time I wore it, it looked bad. bad. It looked chalky. It didn't look good at all. So I don't recommend this. Their Super Shock cheek products are so much better in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure they're less expensive than their powder cheek products. So I would recommend going with those. Actually, I do have a few other highlighters I'm decluttering. I have this Too Faced Cheek Popper Blushing Highlighter. I love a pink highlighter, and I feel like I don't have a ton of them, but I have 3 pink highlighters I'm decluttering because none of them looked good on my skin. Again, this is not the worst highlighter out there, but it's not a great highlighter. And when I wear makeup, like I want it to be a formula I'm excited about, think something that I love on my skin. And whenever I wear this, I'm just like, like I want something better. I want my Rare Beauty highlighter. I want my Flower Beauty liquid highlighter. So I'm just going to pass this along. I've only used it a few times, and there could be someone who really loves this. I think it does look pretty as like an inner corner highlight or on the eyes as an eyeshadow, but that's just not reason enough for me to keep it because my collection is bigger. Like I have products that kind of fit those categories already. I actually did love this pink highlighter. I used this one so much, and I don't even think it's available anymore. It's the Buxom Wanderlust Glow Highlighter in the shade White Russian, but I think mine expired. The texture definitely changed, and it just doesn't apply the same way it used to. And that's how you know a product has expired or that it potentially expired. If the texture changes, the color changes, the scent changes, then I get rid of it. This one used to be a little bit more smooth. And the thing about these Buxom Wanderlust products is as you use them and like the initial layer wears off, the powder never looks good. Like it always looks a little uneven, kind of like it didn't mix very well. And that has happened to me with some of the blushes, but they still performed well. This just feels like it dried out. Even though it's a powder product, it doesn't apply the same way. So to me, that is a sign it is time to part with it, unfortunately, because I really didn't have another pink highlighter in my collection I loved as much as this one. Do you have any idea if the brand Oma by Sharon C is no longer available? I was at Walmart the other day in the beauty section, and I went to the area where this brand normally is, and it wasn't there. I guess I could go online and see, but I was kind of wondering if my Walmart was phasing them out for a little while because we never got the like cream blushes and cream bronzers that I saw online. I'll have to double check. But anyway, I did have the It's Complicated Lip Tint, Oil, and Gloss. It's supposed to be like a 3-in-1. So it's supposed to give you like a hint of color, feel like a lip oil, and then have a glossy sheen, which it does. But I feel like sometimes when products claim to do all 3, they don't do any one thing really well. You know what this reminds me of? The Rare Beauty lip oils. I feel like this is a very similar concept. And I think maybe if I had gotten like a more dramatic shade, it would have tinted the lips a little bit better. But this is just kind of like slightly darker than my natural lip color. So once that glossy layer wore off, I didn't really notice like an obvious tint. Whenever I wear this, I feel like I want to take it off and apply something different. So that is why I'm decluttering this one. This is a lip product that I actually like, but I haven't used it since I did my big declutter. And again, as I was going through like my lip collection, I just noticed that it was kind of full. So I needed to kind of cut back where I could. And this Bare Minerals gloss is so pretty. It's their Mineralist Lip Gloss Balm in the shade Clarity. It's a really pretty like clear with a tint of pink, but I just haven't reached for it at all over the last few months. So to me, that's a sign I probably should declutter it. If I'm going to wear a clear, there are a few other formulas I like slightly better than this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass this product along. I feel like I've been all over the place about this concealer. Like initially I loved it, and then all of a sudden I hated it and it just didn't look good on my skin at all. And I think part of the reason is because I tried the Natasha Denona concealer, and after trying that one, like I feel like most concealers do not live up to that one, so I don't want to wear them. I just want to wear the Natasha Denona one. This Milk Makeup Concealer, it looks good initially, and actually, you know, I think the issue with this one is that it doesn't wear as well as the Natasha Denona one. It definitely feels a little bit thicker, like it has a true creamy consistency to it, whereas the Natasha Denona one is a little bit thinner. It blends out nicely and it looks better on my skin at the end of the day compared to this one. This one just has a tendency to look a little bit heavy, and maybe I was overlooking that because I did like the way it initially looked and it has that like smooth quality with really good coverage. But I don't know, maybe it just expired and it doesn't wear the same as it used to when I first got it. I haven't had it that long. I just feel like whenever I do wear it, by the end of the day, I'm like, oh, my makeup does not look good. So it is time to part with this one. Okay, last thing. This is actually a really cute face palette. It's the Cali Queen face palette. I don't know if this brand is still at Ulta. I got this a while ago, like back when I was part of the Ulta Beauty Collective. What year was that? it wasn't that long ago, 2021, I guess. Anyway, when I was part of the Ulta Beauty Collective, they did send a lot of PR, and a lot of the PR would be from like smaller brands at Ulta, new brands at Ulta, brands I hadn't tried. And I tried a couple of products from this brand, and I was really impressed by the quality. I actually traveled with this palette quite a bit over the last few years because it comes with a bronzer, two blushes, and a highlighter. And the two shades in the center were my favorite. They kind of reminded me of the Buxom Wanderlust formula. Just like very smooth, very pretty on the skin. But again, I feel like this expired because it doesn't perform as well as it used to. I haven't had it for that long. I mean, if I could remember when I got it, that would be helpful. I feel like I've had it for maybe 2 years. Maybe it's been a little bit longer than that. I don't know. All I know is the last time I went to use it, I was like, oh, this looks so patchy on my skin. It looked really bad. And that was never the case when I really loved it. It always looked really smooth, very, very even. So again, if the performance of a product is not the same as it used to be, that's usually a sign that it expired. And I didn't change like the application method. There was nothing else different. So I just feel like it's time to let this product go. But it was really great when I initially had it, and I did love it for a really long time. So I'm curious to see if that brand is still there. I'll have to check it out. Anyway, that's a lot of products that I'm actually decluttering from my collection. I'm going to pass them along and hopefully see if other people enjoy them and love them, because that is always my goal with decluttering. Obviously, some of these are a little bit older, so I won't pass those products along, but I think it's really important to declutter your collection. Even if you are not a YouTuber, even if you don't have a massive collection, sometimes products just kind of get lost in the shuffle, and if you're not using them, someone else might be able to enjoy them. Project Beauty Share is also a great option if you're looking to donate like very gently or lightly used makeup products. They actually sanitize them and then they donate them. My local women's shelters and organizations in my area don't take used products, which is why I do give them to friends and family. And, you know, a lot of the products I feel like I pass along are products that can't necessarily be sanitized. Some can, like the blushes, you can sanitize these, or if it's a foundation, obviously, like you pump that product out. So those are good products to pass along to like Project Beauty Share, but definitely check their website, because last time I checked, there were only certain products they would accept. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you like declutter videos, I'll put some other related ones on the screen, and I will be back very soon with a new video. Bye.